Resident Evil 7 surprised many of us with a change in atmosphere that put horror back into the series. One could argue that the horror was so well done that it was even better than the original trilogy. After Resident Evil 6, many fans were speculating that Resident Evil 7 was actually going to take a much more action-central approach, as many of the predecessors had already done so. Upon the initial release of the original trailer and the beginning hour demo, the fans were given the first glance of what Resident Evil 7 was to become. There actually have been some mixed opinions about Resident Evil 7 overall from the fan base, and even the development staff have had diverse opinions about the production itself. I'm not sure how many elements from Resident Evil 7 will make it into Resident Evil 8, but that's what the purpose of this video will be today. I want to discuss how much action and how much horror is going to be in Resident Evil 8, and there is actually good supporting evidence to base these theories on. So the first thing I'm going to say is that Resident Evil 8 is already in development in some basic form. Takuchi himself said, "We wanted Resident Evil 7 to be the start of a new kind of survival horror and of a new series. We're already thinking of various plans for the next game, but we also want to see how we can continue to evolve survival horror itself. In the next few years, technology will continue to advance, and what players want may also change, but we will always want to create horror experiences where the characters overcome a difficult situation." And so the current masterpiece is just the beginning. Plans for the next title are already in motion. You may find that it is very different from Resident Evil 7 in some ways, while still retaining that core survival horror concept of people overcoming the odds. The first person view will probably be reversed back to the third person view that everybody is comfortable with. I'm sure Capcom has heard the many pleas from fans on this one, but I guess only time will tell. Another thing is, I'm pretty sure they're going to be going back to the main cast. There's quite a few characters that are still not fully utilized. For example, Jill Valentine, who's been out the loop for a long time. I think everybody can agree, seeing these statements here guys, that Resident Evil 8 is going to continue the trend of survival horror very well. I'm sure the action-packed elements from Resident Evil 6 are going to be taking a break from the franchise for a little while. Now, Resident Evil 7 has sold 4.1 million copies so far, and that's still a pretty large chunk of sales. Now, in comparison, Resident Evil 4, 5, and 6 have sold a much larger amount. They are the flagships of the entire series, and they also contain some of the most action-packed content. However, with all the sales that are being made from the games that specialize in the horror department, Capcom has enough data to feel confident to continue marketing and developing games to that specific demographic. I will say one thing before I do end the video, and it is going to be a shorter video today guys, and that's vote with your money, and I really mean that when I say this. When Remake 2 does finally come out, and it will come out at some point guys, and I'm almost certain it will be a very good survival horror game, quite the opposite when it comes to the action content compared to Resident Evil 6. Vote with your money, as I said. Buy that game and any DLCs associated with it. Show Capcom that when they make a really good survival horror game, the fans really appreciate it, they still want it, and there's a huge market for it. That way, when their investors come around and they whip out their fiscal reports, they will see these projects still have a large market base and should still be developed intensely. And remember, when Resident Evil 8 comes out, all of these decisions that you decide to do over the course of these years will actually affect how that game is developed and how Capcom decides to specialize the game mechanics and which demographic they're trying to target. I hope you've learned something, or you're thinking about things in a different way guys. That's the aim of every video I make. If you've enjoyed the video, please leave a like, a subscribe, and a comment as always. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Take it easy, and peace.